Welcome, everybody, to Somewhere in Vegas here on our new home, Spreaker.com. I am Mark the Q. I am your host. Coming up in just a bit, we'll be talking to One Up Duo about their Christmas single. But first, our next guest is a part of a really good band out of Nashville. They have a new Christmas album coming out as well, which is crazy to think that we're already around the holiday season right now. We have Denny from the Flat River Band on with us right now. How you doing, Denny?
Doing great, man. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, I mean it's great to be able to do it. I mean it's a monumental task for a band to be able to do a Christmas album. I think there's a special set of challenges that come with that as well. How is it for you guys to kind of, get into the, Christmas spirit, as it were, and really kind of work on this album? Obviously, it takes a little while for you to do a Christmas album, so sometimes you had to get in the holiday spirit a little bit early, but tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, it is kind of monumental for a band to get together and record Christmas tracks, but I think we're a little bit different just because of the fact that we are brothers. So we come from a family. We grew up in a family band playing together. So I think Christmas being kind of rooted around family getting together. I think so it probably came a little easier for us than it would have, I'd say, a normal band playing together, but we were able to put together a collection of 10 songs and with like 4 originals on it. And then we did a lot of Christmas classics on it, like Old Holy Night, Go Tell It on the Mountain, which we did our own little twist on, and brought back some of the roots of how we grew up playing in an authentic family band to this Christmas album. And it's done well for us. It was a great experience, actually.
Yeah, I should say that this isn't your first foray into that as well, because you had several songs featured on the movie The Least of These is Christmas Story, which, obviously talks a little bit about Christmas as well. So, there's always that little experience of having some of your songs featured there as well. I mean, it's really, really interesting.
That was a super thing for us. We were really happy to be a part of that, along with some other folks in country music like the Oak Ridge Boys, and it was just a great project to be a part of. And you can actually watch that movie, The Least of These. It's out, and it's being pushed again this year, of course, because it's Christmas time, and it's a Christmas movie on Amazon, so you can find it on Amazon for all those people that are out there and enjoy watching Christmas movies. I recommend everybody go out and rent that.
Yeah, I mean, coming into writing original songs, I mean, it's always kind of a little bit of process. I love to ask the question about the songwriting process, and how do you guys, go about doing something like that? Is it a situation where you may have a melody in mind? Is it a situation where you do the lyrics first, or is it a combination of both? Kind of tell me a little bit about that.
You know what? It varies from time to time. Sometimes. For example, last night I was laying in bed and I had this line that hit me in the middle of the night. So I got up and wrote down the lyrics. It didn't particularly have a melody in my head, but so sometimes a melody comes along, a little catchy little hook or something. You write it down, and we'll get together and we'll build off that and try to finish the song that way. But each song is different. It comes, depending on who it is. With me, it could come either way, either a catchy line or a catchy melody starting out. So.
Yeah, another question I love to ask a lot of the musicians that come on here is what's probably the fastest that you guys have kind of turned around a song?
Shoot, that's a great question. I don't have any. I personally don't have any 5-minute songs I've heard people talk about. I've got a couple hour songs, but I think a lot of that had to do with 1 hour songs that had to do with who we were riding with and the experience level. I there's a song we wrote with John Scott Sherrill. That was probably an hour song. It took an hour to write, probably, with him. He was just an awesome songwriter, though. He was just spitting out all these ideas, and he's had like 10 number one country hits too. And I think that with experience and writing as much as what he does, that along with great ideas, that always helps too. But I think experience in writing those songs is how those fast songs come about.
And speaking of which, to be able to work in a studio, or to be able to work producers as well. What was it like for you to be the first time that you guys walked into a studio and started recording music? And kind of how much have you grown since then? Kind of knowing what to do and what things that certain producers are looking for. Tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, we're kind of unique too in that, in the fact that before we moved to Nashville 14 years ago, like in 2000, I think it was 2003 actually, when we moved to Nashville. But at the time we moved to Nashville, we had already recorded 11 studio albums and a live album before we even came to town with our family bands. We traveled as the Sights family. We toured the country for nearly 20 years before we even came to Nashville and moved down here. I was 9 years old whenever we started playing at amusement parks and bluegrass festivals all across the United States. So it was, kind of growing up in it. I don't know that there's ever been. I definitely have watched us mature as musicians and grow as far as different techniques and things like that. As far as that's concerned, as recording is concerned, but the last 4 albums, we put out 5 albums now as the Flat River Band, and they're all self-produced. We've produced every one of them ourselves, and 99% of the songs that we've recorded up to this point has all been originals, songs that we've recorded ourselves, and we've played our own instruments on those recordings. So occasionally we'll bring in a guest, a musician, like for example on our latest album, Every Dog Has Its Day. Johnny Hyland is an amazing guitar player, and I always wanted to record with him, so we brought him in to help play some guitar parts. But I still played electric guitar on 99% of the album. But we brought him in to play a lead part on a certain song. Aaron McDarris, we brought him in to play banjo. But I guess so. The recording process, as far as going in with a producer, we've had a couple of gospel albums produced back when we were playing with our family band. But since then, we've always been self-produced. We've been talking about exploring the opportunity, the possibilities of bringing in an outside producer, just to maybe kind of change things up a little bit. I think when you do play music as long as we have, and it always helps to get an outside opinion on certain things, and I think it'd be interesting to see with different producers what could happen with that.
Going back to your gospel roots and all that as well. Having learned an instrument, was that something that was almost kind of organic to you in terms of, I want to play guitar, or was it something that that you kind of automatically gravitated towards, or was it a situation where the family were like, well, we need a guitarist, can you do guitar? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, to be honest with you, my grandfather, he played the dobro, and it's like a resonator guitar. You play it, laying flat down on your lap. And he sang in a band called I was trying to think of the name of the group, the band that he played in back home. My grandpa, he's passed several years ago, but Cottoner Mountain Boys, I believe it was. It was him and a couple of his cousins, and he played. And so he used to go to bluegrass festivals all the time. So as a little kid, as 5 and 6 years old, we would load up and we'd go out to these bluegrass festivals with him. So I started seeing some of these jam sessions and stuff. And my grandpa told me and my older brother Chad, he's like, you all should really take up a bluegrass instrument. Take up on some bluegrass instruments like the mandolin and the banjo. And my grandpa was like, I would take you to get some lessons to get you started on those instruments if you guys would take the time out to learn. And we're like, oh yeah, because we saw what some of these all-night jam sessions were like, and at some of these bluegrass festivals, and we thought, we'd really like to be a part of that, and just enjoyed singing harmony. And my mom taught us how to sing harmony. At the time, my dad, he was ministering, and we would bring clothes and stuff to the homeless people in St. Louis on Skid Row. And on the way up there, during those trips, my mom, she taught us to sing harmony. So it's like, we can sing. It'd be nice to be able to play an instrument as little kids. And my grandfather started taking us over to Ironton, Missouri, to a blind gentleman. His name was Barry Jones, and we took lessons probably 3 or 4 months from him. And he was a blind instructor, and that's where we got our start. I started playing mandolin. My brother Chad, he started playing the banjo, and once that happened, it kind of took off like wildfire for us. Other instruments and wanting to know more about music and that. So it was pretty cool experience how that happened. Traveling around playing music, and I guess the whole songwriting, how that all kind of came in is I remember my parents' home had burnt. Their trailer had burnt to the ground, and a church stepped in and they brought out a trailer for us to live in while my parents were rebuilding their home. And inside that trailer was a old upright piano where they used to have their Sunday school classes and teach kids songs and stuff. And we were living in this old trailer with the upright piano, and that's where how I learned how to play piano, is from that. So it's kind of crazy how different things lead up to your musical journey, and how it brings you to certain points of growth.
How many instruments do you know how to play?
I don't know. I've never sat down and tried to count. I play a lot of instruments. I write a lot on the piano. I play some guitar, mandolin, play some harmonica. I haven't picked up the fiddle in a long time. Back in our Dollywood days, back when we were playing in Dollywood all the time, we used to play some fiddle. But I squeaked too much, so I kind of set that down. I spared everyone's ears. But
how many guitars do you own?
Guitars do I own? I own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guitars and a couple mandolins. I've got a Gibson endorsement. Gibson gave me an acoustic guitar and a Gibson F5 Sam Bush model mandolin that I play on stage. So.
Well, that being said, a question also I like to ask is, do you ever name your instruments at all? Not necessarily. I never really got into naming them, giving them names. I'm attached to my mandolin, but I've never actually given it a name. No. I don't. As far as I know, my brothers haven't either. Okay. Yeah, it seemed to have come out of fashion. I don't hear very many musicians that do it nowadays. A lot of the times it's just because
there is no Lucille in the band.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting time out here in Vegas right now because there's so many country acts coming in for the rodeo. It's kind of crazy just to see how many people are out here as well. Have you guys ever had the opportunity to play out here in Vegas at all?
No, actually we have not. We'd love to at some point though.
Yeah, like I said, it's crazy out here because we're getting so many country. There's going to be a ton of country concerts this weekend, just to see all the acts that are out here, coming out here all the way from George Strait to Ray McIntyre, Brooks and Dunn. It's just crazy, and then plus we have a lot of free concerts going down on Fremont this week, so it's kind of crazy to see all the country music stars out there. Hopefully, you get the opportunity to come out here and to be able to perform.
Oh, we would love to at some point. I brought my daughter out. I was out there a few weeks ago, me and my youngest daughter, we rode the zip line down Fremont Avenue.
Yeah.